Today on Dirt Road Cred, our 2026 Jeep Gladiator Mojave gets major upgrades. We've got brand new wheels, brand new tires, and an exclusive new tire carrier that we've never installed before. All right, guys, well, here's what we picked out for our 2026 Gladiator. We've got them setting here, and obviously this is a major shift from the stock setup. Now, this month of February, we've actually started a giveaway. It ends February 28th of 2026, where you have a chance to win a set of 5 of these wheels and a Mopar Took Kit. No purchase is necessary, but we figured with that, we may as well install one of the set of these wheels on one of our own Jeeps. We're kind of going back and forth on what to go with. We started looking at this Jeep a little bit closer, realized these are basically the same as the factory Extreme Recon wheels. The inside is this nice granite with metallic, but then on the Mopar style wheels, they give you almost like a billet silver or a silver zenith ring. On the Extreme Recons, those obviously have a black ring and it changes it up a little bit. They have a little bit more of an aggressive back spacing, but doesn't poke it out way too wide to where we're going to be wearing out suspension components on this Jeep prematurely. But we like these wheels. I think they look fantastic. And then after we bolted them on, we initially thought about paint matching the trim rings or going with a different option. It actually turned out really cool on this Jeep. This is basically a factory Extreme Recon Jeep Gladiator, just with a little bit larger of a tire. Now, what's cool about that, speaking of tires, we chose a different tire than we typically run. This is a Toyo Open Country RT Trail Edition. These are a newer tire. We've never tried them, but we've seen so many positive reviews that we wanted to give them a shot. Now, what we went with, Ryan, tire size, 42s. No, I'm just kidding. 37 by 1250 R17s. This is a 17-inch wheel. And what I like about the RT Trails is they have a very aggressive top tread pattern and even more aggressive sidewall, but they are an RT tire, so they're kind of a mix between an all-terrain and a mud terrain. Made in the USA tire, load range E, just in case you plan on towing with this Jeep, and we might have some heavier upgrades in the front that we need to counteract with the load ranging of the tire. But we've read so many good reviews. I saw a Bronco guy got 40,000 miles and they still look absolutely incredible. And honestly, we just wanted to try out something a little bit different. Now, what's cool about the wheels and tires that we've got setting here is that obviously they're already mounted on the Jeep behind us, and we've got a spare, Ryan. We own a full-size spare, but today we're not going to be mounting these underneath the Jeep. We have a special different place we're going to be mounting that. The quintessential Jeep question is, will blank tire size fit blank Jeep? And today's question is, will 37s fit a stock Mojave Gladiator? The answer is yes. We had a local tire shop mount and balance these 37s with the Mopar Beadlock-capable wheels, and they do fit. Quite surprisingly, I remember throwing 37s on the juice, and with the low-cut fender flares, they really had a hard time and they were rubbing everywhere. Now, what's neat about this is they were road force balanced, they got everything done here, and we even swapped the factory TPMS sensors on there just because there was a little bit of confusion with what the 2026 takes so far. Not a ton of people are modifying these. But what was neat is when we drove this home, and quite matter of fact, we had all 5 of our spare wheels and tires and the other spare for this in the bed, and still nothing was rubbing. It's a little bit close on the front end. I would say you're not going to get away with this for too long, but you can daily drive it as long as you're not articulating and flexing it out. But the overall stance of this Jeep looks pretty good. Got to pick up the front and maybe pick up the back a little bit just to level out the rake, but we do have plans for that coming very soon. We kind of like put the cart before the horse and started with the wheels and tires before we went with the lift kit, but don't worry, we'll handle everything. What was nice about this, the 37 1250s with the backspace, they do not poke out very far. So this is basically the same backspace you will have on an Extreme Recon wheel, and you know that that little fender extension covers it completely. So these might be poking an inch. I do plan on getting those Extreme Recon fender extensions on here just to cover it up a little bit, make it look like an XR Gladiator, but overall, I'm pretty impressed. The ride quality was good, even though they were inflated up to 50 PSI. We got to lower that down. But we used our taser, calibrated everything when we went from our stock tire size to this. And speaking of stock tires, we do have a brand new set. They have 150 miles on them. Mojave wheels and tires with the 5th spare included. Just the sensors have been pulled out of them, but these are going to be for sale. You can reach out if you're interested in local to central Pennsylvania, info@dirtroadcredmedia.com. We're going to post them on Facebook Marketplace too, but that's a perk of buying kind of a loaded up or a nicer Jeep, is you can actually get pretty decent money for these and even more money for like the Extreme Recon wheels. But they look great, Ryan. They look good. But we're kind of going for that like Baja, Mojave, desert rated truck. And we've got our bed-mounted roll cage in here that obviously we know is not 100% a real roll cage, but I think you guys would be impressed if you saw this thing in person. We've got a lot more lights going on up there, but I'd like to mount, Ryan, our spare tire in the bed. So we've got our solution laid out here on the tailgate of our Gladiator, and ultimately what we went with was the Rugged Ridge bed mount spare tire kit. Quite literally, there is absolutely no information about this online. There's a couple photos from Rugged Ridge and Quadratech, and I saw one installed photo. No content, no installation, no nothing. But what I liked about this spare tire bed mount for the Gladiator is that it is minimally invasive. When I say minimally invasive, there's literally no drilling, no cutting. It all bolts into factory locations of your Gladiator bed. And with the theme of this build, it was a toss-up on how you guys felt about our roll bed bar. We absolutely love it, and we were going with a theme for this. This is supposed to be the 80s, the 90s, the retro look. I saw a couple comments saying you should have beefed up the bars and gone to a 3-inch or a 4-inch tube. There's not a ton of options out there for this kind of stuff. And ultimately, we added on 4 lights up top, 2 little surprises on the left and right side because we wanted to kind of finish off this desert look on this, which we will show you at the end of the video because I'm excited to see what it looks like with this in the bed. But that's the style we were going for. What I liked about this as well, like I just told you, everyone in the comments, if you say about you just wasted half the bed, why get a truck if you just put a spare tire into it, you can unbolt this. It unbolts. And also we're going for the theme of it, right? We want the 45-degree angled spare tire in the back. We've got what we got going on here. And we're not bobbing the bed, so we've still got a ton of room here. I did see one guy reviewed this and he said the coolest thing he liked about it is that not only do you not have to drill and cut, but then when you want to pull the just spare tire off and haul more in there, you can still put a tonneau cover. You can do a lot of that. So you have 8 tie-ins to the factory bed. It all bolts together, and then we can put our spare up there. I cannot wait to see what this looks like up there. I think it's gonna finish out the bed. It's gonna fill in the space in between the roll cage, and I just think it's gonna look fantastic. So the powder coating isn't 100% the same match, but you won't see much of it. But yeah, 350 bucks and a little bit of tax, and we're ready to go. So, all right guys, so we do have to remove the T45 Torx bit that is holding on the factory tie down. But we will be reinstalling that back on. So there's one on each side here. One thing we have to kind of work with when you're mixing parts together is you might have to do things a little bit different. The Rockhard actually has you put bolts this way and have those threaded inserts in the back. With the Rugged Ridge, you're gonna take this fishing tool and the M8 stud, and first we'll put the fishing hole through the top hole like this. Great way to do it. You'll thread the M8 into there so it holds it. And then you pull your line back through, and if everything works right, look at that. So pull the stud right through. Isn't that pretty cool? This part says I might need a friend.
You're gonna need to find one.
Don't worry.
Yep.
I don't have many around here besides the guy filming, but I got 96,000 people that we could call, so it's all right, Ryan. You're gonna be my friend now. And it involves this and me pushing it up through that section and holding it, and then you're gonna push this onto it or give it a little twist like that. Okay. It says be gentle because you don't want to. So every instruction typically says do not tighten until final. This thing you really can't even snug up at all because you got to fit it over studs in different places. So we're just going to loosen this in here and it should fit a little bit better. Because right now, Ryan, it is not wanting to. I don't think this is barely strong enough up here. Should we see if it's strong? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of this is strong, actually. I don't think it'll hold up. Yeah, I think it'll hold. I moved the Tyrie light. I think everything else will be fine, Ryan. Tire flipped over to the widest point of the tire, so I'm gonna put it right there. Now we can measure from the back of the mounting face to the back of the tire. 6.5 inches from the mounting face to the back of the tire. So you want to get this as close as we can, push downwards. So we'll go 6.5 inches, take off about 1/4 inch to let those lug nuts suck this down a little bit, and we'll put it on. So now what we're gonna do, guys, like what I was saying, the back of the mounting face to the tube here, I couldn't do it like to that. So that's 6 inches. If we went to try and put these lug nuts on, the tire would contact the tube first. So we're gonna pull this out. So this is about just over 6.5, maybe right there. But first I'm gonna get this one tightened up, adjust it, check it on both sides. That way we kind of want this tube here to actually be supporting a little bit of the tire, right? You know, if this is just sitting up here, just free weight, like if you have this all the way out and the tire's completely out of contact, all of the weight is gonna be on one pivot point here. But if we slide this in and get the tire to contact just a little bit here, and then when we suck it down with the lug nuts, this will take some of the weight and the brunt from that. That's why on a factory JL tailgate, they have those rubber bounce or jounce, I don't know what they're called, the rubber stops on the back. So when you suck the tire in, that absorbs a little bit of it instead of just being on one pivot point. All right. All right, guys, moment of truth. Let's see if it fits. Beautiful. And we hit the bar just like I wanted to. And yes, I know I'm using a chrome socket on an extension to tighten these, but for whatever reason, I can't find my 13/16 in my impacts. Honestly, I know the bed space thing is gonna be an issue, but like you still have a good portion. And that looks sick. So, and you know, it's just about the looks anyways. Well guys, this is pretty much completing the bed setup that we were looking for in our Gladiator. We've got the chase rack, we've got the lights up top, and then we've obviously now got our spare tire mounted in the bed, and these wheels and tires turned out fantastic. They ride great so far, just driving it around town a little bit, but we're more excited to get to the proper PSI, roll around a little bit, and test it out. This thing completes the look back here, but I did some things off camera too, like what's a chase rack without chase lights up top? And then these actually have reverse lights built into them too. And what's neat about these is they complement the Tyrie lights. It now gives us turn signals, brake lights, reverse lights, and I have to wire up the chase light so it flashes back and forth amber, but it gives us the look we were going for in the back. The bed mounted tire carrier though too, I'm just so happy with how this thing turned out. I told you guys I wanted something that we could remove if we wanted to, and I also wanted a minimally invasive product, something that we didn't have to drill into. I looked at the Rough Country, I looked at a lot of other brands, and all of them required drilling into the floor. If you don't want it, now you've got 4 or 5 holes in the floor. And that's the same thing with this roll bar. A lot of people said, do the one that goes down, ties into the bed, ties into all sorts of stuff. You have to drill into the bed and really permanently modify it. All of this, if you didn't like it, could easily be removed. But overall, yeah, I'm excited. The only thing kind of sucks about this is just like a Wrangler, when you put a big tire in the back, you can't really see out of the back window. We've got some ideas. We've had a Wolf box in our 41 for about 1.5 years, and it works great. So we might do something like that on this setup. But overall though, guys, this thing is just, it looks so cool. Oh yeah, also guys, you know we like our wiring here. We made the complete custom harness here. We actually found TE Deutsch connectors that actually illuminate to show that they're on. A lot of guys in the service and mechanical world use them, so you could quickly look at all the connections and make sure they're all good. But I incorporated those into the back of this, so check this out. When you turn them on, all 4 of the back of the Tyrie lights illuminate. That doesn't come from Tyrie like that. That's doing some custom plugs and making a custom harness. But I really like the look at night too, because you can just quick glance up there, make sure all your lights are working fine. Obviously you can see them all too, but I just thought it was a cool little touch from the back end. And then obviously the chase lights. These have running lights too, so if we turn the running lights on, this will stay on there. And it just, what's neat is I tied them into both of the tail lights, so we can also see if it goes. Yeah, so our taser has the light show, and it incorporates this, and you can change the modes. You can have it go back and forth, rotate, like, tell me this thing isn't like the coolest Gladiator ever. Obviously for this build, a little bit more form over the entire functionality of using this as a truck bed, but overall we're happy with how it turned out. This is what we were going for when we envisioned it into our head. Not too bad on the Rugged Ridge install there. Keep things loose, very loose, until you go to put all this on, and I would say give yourself about an hour to do so, and you will need a buddy to be able to reach up and put some of those studs on. But let us know down below in the comments, did we get the retro look? I think we did, especially as we're starting to research other models. If you guys look at the Honcho Golden Eagle, the roll bar is almost identical to this. It just comes down, comes out a little bit and then comes down. So we were looking for this and filled the gap in with that 37 nicely, and just kind of the top finished it all off. So we're gonna close up this one, guys. Super happy with how this turned out. Obviously we will link the rough country lights that we use for the chase lights, and then those top lights, the Tyrie lights, are available at dirtroadcred.com. You can go on, pick those up, and typically we have a giveaway running, so check the website where we have a giveaway. If we do, buying some stuff on our site can get you entered, as well as no purchase is necessary. Until next time though, we're gonna get this thing wrapped up, cleaned up, get some salt off of it, and install some more products. So Ryan's behind the camera, I'm here talking to you. We want you to get out there and earn yours.